before you jack the wheels up off the ground, make sure you loosen the axle nut with a 36 millimeter. You'll probably need a breaker bar. Might need to add a extra metal pole or something to it, because these are pretty difficult to get off. You see there's a small notch in the axle. Usually that metal piece will be bent in. You have to take something like a chisel or something and pop that out before you start unbolting it. Thing you want to do when you're up under the car is the front drive shaft. You got 4 bolts here. Those are E12. Tricky part about this job is when you try and unloosen the bolts, the drive shaft itself will spin. Or try to. Let's see if I can do it by hand. Found the best way to keep it in place is to take a screwdriver, stick it in here in the yoke, and turn it until it catches on the body, which will hold it in place. And then you can untorque the bolts and take all 4 of them out, but make sure you know, you don't drop it on your face, because that would be bad, real bad. 4 over here and 4 down there. While you're down here, make sure you get this grounding strap over here. It connects onto the motor mount. You're gonna be taking that out, so you want to make sure while you're under here you go ahead and take care of that so you can pull it straight out. Right, let's get the axles out. You have 2 arms here. Disconnect those from the subframe. 18 millimeter bolts. You'll need a ratchet and a wrench. Connect it from back here. You might have to remove a little bit of paneling to get to the bolts in there. And then the other one here. And then you'll want to disconnect the tie rod from the knuckle. You'll need a 15/16 and a what is this? 6 millimeter Allen head. If I can get that to focus, but put your Allen head in there. Put your over top. And use this to hold it steady while you back it out. If you get them out, it should look like this. Now, since you can't put the wheels on the ground anymore, found the best way to hold the center, hold it in place, is to take like an extension, stick it in one of the vanes here, and it should lock it in place. The axle should back all the way out of the hub there. Seen videos where they take the whole suspension structure out just to clear the axles. All you should really have to do, since you've detached the lower arms, is pull it back, swing it around to the side. axle's free. To get the axle the rest of the way out, you want to make sure you have a good breaker bar. A pry bar. So to get the axle out, what you need is take your breaker bar, or if you got a pickle fork or a chisel or something, you want to catch it on the edge here and use a sledgehammer or some type of hammering device and hit it until you get the axle to pop out. Might take a little bit of time of doing because it's not going to come out easy, but if you take your time, it should pop right out. And repeat with the other side. Now's a good time to break the bolts on the front diff. Got one there, one right there, and then there's two more at the bottom, right here and right there. It's 16 millimeter. Don't take them all the way out, just break them. All right, and here's the bolt for your steering rack. There's one here, and let's see if I can get the other one. That little silver guy there in the back with a little bit of dirt on him. You want to take those out, and what I do is I shift the steering rack to the side because I don't feel like trying to fight to put the yoke back on there. So what you do is take those bolts out, slide it to the side, and then lower the subframe so that you can clear the bottom of the oil pan. Those bolts out. It's an 18 up top and an E12 on the bottom side. Then you can take sway bar bolts off both sides and just let it hang. And then you can get ready to lower down the subframe. Now we get to the most fun part of pulling the engine out. Transmission bolts. There's one up here. You can get that one off with using a box end of an 11 millimeter. And there's another one over here, several more. I'll have to get up under the car and show you how to get those. Alright, so basically what you're going to need is several extensions, and probably want to start off with an E16. I like using a 1/2 inch ratchet so you can get a little bit more torque on it, since the bolts are going to be in there a little bit tight. So let me show you how to get into the bolts. Hi there. So basically this is about how far back you want to lay in the car so that you can actually get to the bolts. And these are the bolts you're trying to get to. If you see all the way up there, that's an E16. You have another one there, and then another one there. You want to take your extension and try and stick it all the way up there, and break those bolts. And then you have another 2 bolts over here on this side. So basically you just make sure you have a elbow on there. Stick it up in there and break it loose. And then there's another one slightly above it. The rest of these smaller bolts are E10s. There's one here, one on the other side. Those are a lot easier to get. So after you get all the bolts out, You want to make sure you secure the engine with your hoist. And undo your motor mounts. You can do them from the top and from the bottom, but more than likely you might want to start from the two at the bottom. That way you can lower the subframe a little bit, and that way you can clear the bottom of the oil pan out of all of this stuff here. As you see, this is the underside, part of the subframe, and the bolts you want to take out. There's one here, and the other one is over here. Where you at, buddy? Over here. They are E12s. And the bolts for the other side are pretty much in the same place. Now you can undo the top of the motor mount bolts. There's two, one over here and one over here, both 16 mil. And on this side, you can go ahead and take the motor mount bracket off the engine block. I believe that's E18. All right, lower the subframe. You got 6 bolts. You got one here, one connected to the engine mount, and one up under here. If you can see that, come on. It's the same on both sides. What you want to do is take out the front one and the rear one and leave the middle bolt sitting in, and that way when you start to loosen it, it'll lower and not fall completely out. As you can see, as you loosen the bolts, the frame will start to drop down, and you'll start getting a little bit more clearance room. You want to get the pan past your power steering rack there, and then it should be good to go. Oh, when you start to pull the engine out, it's kind of going to want to twist. So what you can do is, if you got toe straps or something, just run it around the turbo and then connect it to the chain, and that way it'll kind of help it keep it from twisting and doing a bunch of crazy stuff. Get stuck. This might be a good time to take your front differential out. That's why I said you want to break the bolts before you even get this far, and pull that out. That'll give you a little bit more clearance. And you'll probably want to drop the driver's side of the frame down a little bit more, but make sure you put a brace or something under there just in case the bolt backs all the way out. You don't want it hanging onto the chassis with just one bolt. Get this far, this is when it's a good time to reach up in there and get the water pump plug, which is right here. Try and get that with one hand, but yeah. And now you've got the engine out. Time to take a break. Go get a beer. Go smack the missus on the ass. Something.
MCPH real nigga. Polo, fuck that.